But in online learning, it's very important that the activities that we will be implementing would be in a form of what we call authentic practice. When we're talking about authentic practice, the learning is considered to be real. Mean to say, they can easily apply this in their community on their daily living. Okay, and there's always a point of realization or application. Why does the task is very important? Why this project needs to be accomplished? Ano ang kanya magiging kinalaman sa buhay ko sa mga susunod na taon? Okay, that's what they call authentic practice. Another one, that learning in a form of interdependency. Everything is interdependent, wherein that's why mentoring and coaching are very important because it promotes interdependencies. Okay, your expertise on the subject matter can also be shared with the other members of the academy. Diba, for the longest time you're teaching mathematics mathematics or algebra for about 30 years, no? At meron tayong mga younger faculties na kabilang sa roster natin. Pwede natin silang i-mentor, pwede natin silang i-coach how these concepts or topics were being taught, what kind of strategy you usually apply or implement kapag ganito yung mga topic area. So, ito yung panahon talaga that you need to talk to one another. When it comes or academic, that's what they call academic conversations, no? Academic conversations. Another one is infrastructure. Ayan, isa to sa vital and very important that we need to establish our infrastructure in implementing online learning. A while ago, we've experienced technical problems on our MS Teams, but it's normal. Normal po talaga siya kasi kahit saan namang institutions, no, kapag first hand mong na-experience si MS Teams, talagang kailangan na magpa-facilitate to instruct you what to do because it requires technical principles to apply, to use the MS Teams. Although later, bibigyan ko kayo ng overview kung ano ang pwedeng gawin sa loob ng MS Teams, no? Since all of you have an account already for the MS Teams, siguro after the webinar, the IT support system will help you and some faculty volunteers will help you also to navigate the MS Teams later on. Okay, what are the pedagogical designs? So ito yung ating isa sa mga concern. And I know some of you, most of us here are familiar already with the instructional strategies or designs that we can apply for e-learning. The first one is scenario-based learning. Medyo bago and it's an emerging discipline. It's an emerging discipline of pedagogy in teaching and learning, wherein we always look at the idea of looking for a scenario or a situation. It's different from problem solving, problem-based learning. Kasi sa problem-based learning, like in mathematics, you always pose a given problem and the students will identify and look for solutions on the problem. But here, you start the lesson with a given scenario. To say, it's visualizing an event, no? Halimbawa, in a first-person perspective, pwede nating sabihin na ang lesson halimbawa ay currency, no, sa elementary. Halimbawa, yung scenario na yon babasahin ng bata, kung grade 5 ito, ang isang scenario sa lesson ng currency, then from the scenario itself, it will form into a given problem structure. Okay, identifying also the needs and the outcomes based on the course being implemented. Now, what are some of the components of scenario-based course? It can be skill-based or problem-based. Again, an offshoot of a problem-based learning. It can also start with an issue wherein parang unang salbo pa lang lesson mo, magbibigay ka na kagad ng isang problema or na isang scenario or na isang issue that they need to solve. It can also be a game-based. So that's a scenario-based learning. Another one is, the problem-based learning. Wherein for the problem-based learning, in a traditional way of learning, we told what we need to know. So it's more on deductive, no? Usually, deductive method starts with a general idea to specific ideas. Then, like in mathematics, you start with the general formula or the general principle of for example, Pythagorean theorem. Then once you discuss the formula and the basic concept of Pythagorean theorem, you will start what? Presenting a sample, okay? Then do a board work. After doing that and demonstrating, call a student and do the same. Okay? Then the student should memorize it. Then after which the student will be given set of problems that they need to solve, okay? And to come up with certain solutions using the basics of mathematical problem solving. But in problem-based learning, you start first with the problem actually. It's not only applicable for mathematics but also in social sciences, in sciences, also in pure sciences or natural sciences, or even in humanities. You assign first the problem, identify what we need to know on the problem, then learn and apply it to solve the problem itself. These are the essential elements of the problem-based learning. What I want to highlight here is the idea of driving question and in-depth inquiry to solve specific problems. Okay? Now, another one is the case-based learning. And some of you are doing this, but you're not merely knowledgeable that you're already doing this kind of pedagogy. Wherein there, it's it's the idea of case analysis actually, the discussion of issues or cases, most specifically on the medicine field or the allied health or allied sciences. Okay? And these are some example of the case studies na pwedeng pag-aralan ng mga bata, no, in a form of a collaborative learning discussion. So grouping them 3 to 4 students and come up with a certain solution what needs to be discussed from different cases. So I know most of you are doing this already at pinapagawa niyo to sa kanila in a group activity format, no? Ang tawag sa kanya ay case-based learning. Okay? What's the difference between the CBL case-based learning to a problem-based learning? Typically, I want to focus here more on the role of facilitator. In case-based, it's active, while in problem-based, it's passive because we don't really give them guide questions because they need to come up with certain answers from a given problem. Interaction is less on CBL but more on the problem-based learning. Okay? Learning curiosity, there's none on case-based because there's a guide question that they need to accomplish. But in PBL, yes, it requires them to boost their critical thinking, their creativity. Okay? Self-directed learning is less on case-based, but in problem-based, more. Meaning to say they can learn on their own, they can be independent in terms of their learning. Okay? Another one is the learning by designing. It's more applicable on the area of engineering, computer sciences, and IT. Because we ask them to produce a product, typically in a form of software, website, or they need to assemble or disassemble something in PC operations. Even in science, if they want to design a specific, to come up with a certain product in TLE, home economics, usually it's more on product-based learning. Role-play-based learning. So you can do that also in an online learning modality wherein they will meet online, they will talk, they will meet using Facebook Messenger and they will deliver a scenario or role play habang naka-online discussion po kayo. That's possible. I just need to check the possibilities of the usual face-to-face interaction into the online modality. And again, going back, always need to consider the bandwidth requirement and the high immediacy. To give you an idea with the MS Teams compared to Zoom, compare natin ang dalawa, no? Zoom categorized as high bandwidth and high immediacy. So nasa red siya kasi video conferencing siya. Si MS Teams we categorize MS Teams as a video conference and an asynchronous discussion. Meaning to say, si MS Teams, it performs both an LMS and both a video conferencing. So, anong pagkakaiba ni MS Teams kay Google Classroom? Si Google Classroom, it only address asynchronous online. Wala siyang video conferencing. Kung mag-video conferencing ka sa Google Classroom, lalabas ka. Pupunta ka ng Google Meet or pupunta ka ng Zoom. Ngayon, ang disadvantage lang ni MS Teams kasi nagpe-perform siya ng dalawang function ng synchronous learning at asynchronous, napakataas ng kanyang bandwidth requirement. Kaya kung ang mga bata ay gumagamit halimbawa ng mobile data, mukhang hindi nila kakayanin pumasok ng MS Teams to do online discussion. You can use as a faculty, no, you can use Zoom. Pero the idea is, how many applications ba ang kailangang pasukan ni student para lang siya makapag e-learning at online learning? Halimbawa, gagamit siya ng Google Classroom, no? Tapos gagamit ka pa ng email mo. Gagamit ka pa ng Zoom meeting. Tapos minsan mag-Google Meet ka pa. So, the idea of using different applications can pose a threat do sa mismong momentum ng mga bata when it comes to learning, even for the faculty. That's why we need to come up with a very precise and a primary learning management system or platform na pwede nating magamit. Okay? Si MS Teams, pwedeng hindi ka naman mag-online discussion doon, pwedeng asynchronous lang naman yun. Pero kung pagsasabayin mo ang dalawa in a live discussion, mukhang mababawasan yung number ng student mo, lalo't kung ang iba sa kanila identified na hindi kayang mag-online class. Okay, that's good only for asynchronous and synchronous online. Okay, so that's it. Now, synchronous engagement doing the same thing at the same time. That's true. Sabay-sabay ginagawa, like doing the Zoom meeting right now. We're doing our discussion. I'm doing my lecture. You can also post questions, so you can do this. Okay. To give an idea, kung gusto magkaroon ng account sa limited number of students na pwedeng pumasok kung ikaw ay naka-basic lang. Like my account, I am currently purchasing a pro account. It's a professional account na may access ang mga bata hanggang 100 audience. So kapag gagamit ako ng Zoom meeting, I can accommodate around 100 students at the same time. Meron siyang cloud storage na kapag nag-record ako ng aking video through Zoom, automatically pwede siyang mas-save sa cloud storage ng Zoom. Ang kanyang, nga lang may bayad siya monthly, si Zoom. On my end, I'm paying around 750 pesos monthly. So, inisatin ko, mukhang okay naman siya kasi kung mag-biyahe ako from Tagaytay to Manila every day, I will still consume the same amount ng traveling expenses ko. So, that can be a good investment, pero if the school can provide an institutional account for Zoom, better. Pwede naman gawin ng mga faculty yun later on. Okay. So, typically, there's a model of synchronous learning in the internet. So, usually the student asks a question, then the teacher responds, like what we are doing. The teacher assigns a question, then the student also responds. But students can also discuss themselves specific topic. That's what they call the collaborative learning, wherein students interact with one another. Now, these are some of the synchronous activities that you can apply. You can do video conferencing like this, chat room, mag-chat lang, like Facebook Messenger, the synchronous one. Kasi kapag nakita yung nag-post ka ng announcement sa Messenger mo at kapag na-seen ng mga ibang estudyante, that's synchronous na. Ibig sabihin, meron silang live exposure or live interaction with you, or online chat or instant messaging. Okay, so another one is self-regulated learning. You can also use synchronous activities to manage their time, process information that you usually do in a recitation format. Okay? At the same time, collaborative problem solving. So the structure, you pose a problem to be solved by the individual learners. Parang halimbawa, as we start the online class like this, we start with the question, why do you think that there's an increasing number of patients, of COVID-19 patients in the Philippines?